Clint Eastwood, Hollywood's last outlaw, walks onto the Jimmy Kimmel live stage to promote his new film. But what starts as a standard late-night segment spirals into a powder keg confrontation that ends with Eastwood thrown out of the studio. What happened? How did a simple interview go completely off the rails? Let's break it down. And if you're new here, smash that subscribe button and tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Because you're about to witness one of the wildest talk show moments in recent memory. The Kimmel studio is buzzing. Lights sharp, crowd lit, that pre-show electricity in the air. Clint Eastwood, a living legend deep into his 90s, is tonight's main event. The room hushes as his name is teased. He's here to talk about his new film, a gritty drama about a rancher battling a corporate land grab, a story that's as much him as the character, that signature squint, that gravel drawl, still sharp, still lethal. But Clint doesn't do games, no fake laughs, no scripted bits. He's here for one reason, the film. Anything else? He's not playing. Backstage, tension is building. His longtime assistant, Maggie, tough, unshakable, pulls a producer aside. Her voice is low, firm. "Don't turn him into a sideshow," the producers nod. But their eyes betray them. They want a viral moment, a gag, a laugh, a meme. Maggie knows better. Clint doesn't bend. Not for studios, not for cameras, not for anyone. They don't listen. They'll regret it. In the green room, Clint sips black coffee, watching a monitor as Kimmel opens with his monologue. Roasting celebrities, dropping punchlines. Clint doesn't react. No smirk, no frown. Just a slow, steady drum of his fingers on the chair arm. Maggie notices. That's the tell. He's sizing things up, like a gunslinger before the draw. She leans to a stagehand. They're gonna push him. The stagehand shrugs, clueless. Then the signal comes. It's time. Clint stands, straightens his jacket, and walks, alone, to the stage. Jimmy's rapping a joke about a pop star's meltdown. The crowd eats it up. Then he shifts. "Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth. Clint Eastwood." The band hits a twangy riff. The audience erupts. Clint steps out, slow, deliberate, owning every inch of the stage. He shakes Jimmy's hand, brief, firm, like steel, and sits. No smile, just focus. At first, it's smooth. Kimmel asks about the film, the themes, the character. Clint leans in, voice rough but unwavering. He talks about the rancher, about land, about fighting back. Every word lands like a bullet. The crowd leans in, spellbound. But Jimmy shifts gears. He wants something lighter, something that'll go viral. He jokes about Clint's cowboy past. "You still ride horses?" Clint's answer is tight, when it matters. The crowd chuckles. But there's a chill underneath, a warning. Jimmy misses. Hit. He pushes again. "Tell us about that bar fight on set. The old Western days?" Fishing for a laugh. Clint's eyes narrow. Didn't happen. His voice slices the room. A few nervous laughs, gasps. Jimmy grins, trying to recover. Big mistake. He reaches under the desk, pulls out a cowboy hat. "Come on, Clint. One for the fans." He waves it like a party trick. The crowd claps, egging it on. Clint doesn't move. Then, cold, cutting. "Put that away." Not loud, but dead serious. The studio falls silent. The air goes dead still. Jimmy's smile cracks. He doesn't know what to do. Maggie, watching, from the wings, just shakes her head. She warned them. What happens next? Well, let's just say, the legend doesn't go quietly. Part 2 is coming. And trust me, it only gets wilder. The cowboy hat hangs in the air. Jimmy tries to laugh it off, the sound thin, forced. All right. No hats tonight," he says, tossing it onto the desk with a nervous chuckle. But the crowd isn't laughing anymore. Their cheers fade into a low, uncertain murmur. Clint Eastwood hasn't flinched. His eyes stay locked on Jimmy, cold and unblinking, like a man sizing up a threat. The tension is thick. You can feel it. Backstage, Maggie's fists are clenched. She hisses at the stage manager. "Told you not to push him." The stage manager, sweating now, signals the control booth for a cut to commercial. But the director shakes his head. They want the fireworks, and they're getting them. Jimmy senses he's losing the room. He shifts in his chair, smile stretched tight. "So, let's talk more about the film," he says, voice overly chipper, trying to reset the mood. He lobs a safe question about the story's inspiration. Clint leans forward, elbows on knees, steady. He starts talking, but not the way Jimmy hoped. "It's about people who don't back down," he says, voice low, words deliberate. "People who fight when the world comes to take what's theirs. Not about playing dress-up for a laugh," the jab lands. Scattered gasps, a few claps. The crowd feels it. Jimmy forces a smile, fingers tapping the desk like Morse code. He tries again. "So, how was the production process?" But Clint's not letting it go. "I came here to talk about something real." He cuts in. His gaze sweeps the set, the lights, the audience. "Not to be some damn sideshow for your ratings." The studio stirs. Some fans cheer, others whisper, unsure if this is part of the act or something else entirely. Jimmy's thrown off. His usual charm is slipping. He glances at the floor producer who's signaling to wrap it up. But Clint's just getting started. "I've been in this business longer than you've been breathing," he says, voice calm, edged with steel. "I don't need your games to tell a story." The crowd split now, some clapping, some heckling. The line between show and showdown is blurring. Jimmy leans in, grin tight. "Hey, we're just having fun here, Clint. No need to get heated." The words ring hollow. "Fun?" Clint scoffs. "You call this fun? Dragging people out here to make 'em look like fools." He gestures at the set, the glowing lights, the polished machine around them. The audience buzzes louder, feeding off the rawness in the air. Backstage chaos brews. Producers barking into headsets, the director's ready to cut. But someone higher up, chasing ratings, wants to let it roll. Maggie's pacing. She mutters, "I knew this'd happen." Eyes locked on the monitor, as Clint's face hardens like carved stone. On stage, Jimmy's unraveling. He tries to pivot again, lighthearted this time. "So, Clint, what's your favorite role from back in the day?" Clint cuts him off. "You don't get it." His voice rises just enough to command the room. "This isn't about me. It's about respect. For the craft. For the people watching at home." That hits. A section of the crowd erupts into cheers. Others boo, unsure what they're witnessing. The air's electric, volatile. Jimmy's done pretending. He leans forward, tone sharper now. "Look, Clint, we're just trying to give the fans what they want," he says, gesturing to the audience. "They love you. They want to see the legend." Big mistake. Clint's eyes flash. He leans in, voice like a blade. "They don't want a clown. They want the truth." The studio goes still. For a heartbeat, no one breathes. Then, a heckler shouts from the back, garbled and loud. The moment shatters. Jimmy jumps at the chance. He stands, clapping. "Okay, "We'll take a quick break, folks," he says, fake smile plastered on. The band kicks in, blaring over the tension. But Clint's not moving, still as a rock, stare-locked. On Jimmy, the crowd's buzzing, cheering, shouting, waiting. The Jimmy Kimmel live studio is no longer a talk show. It's a standoff. The crowd's a storm of divided loyalties, some chanting Clint Eastwood's name, others shouting for Jimmy to hit back. Jimmy stands at center stage, clapping with a forced grin, pretending the wheels aren't coming off. But his eyes flick toward the floor producer, who's frantically signaling for a commercial break. The cameras keep rolling. Clint hasn't moved, still in his seat, eyes locked on Jimmy like a wolf waiting for the next twitch. The band blares, trying to mask the chaos, but it only makes the silence between the two men more thunderous. "Backstage!" Maggie curses under her breath, watching the monitor like it's a slow-motion car crash. She knows Clint, and he's not done. In the control booth, the director wavers. Ratings are spiking, but the scene is veering into dangerous territory. As the band winds down, Jimmy slowly sits. He leans toward Clint, his voice low, barely off mic, but close enough for the front rows to hear. "Let's cool it, all right? We'll talk about the movie." Clint doesn't blink. "You had your chance," he replies, quiet as a knife sliding from its sheath. A ripple goes through the crowd. Phones up, streaming. The moment is already viral. Jimmy clenches his jaw. This is his turf, and he's being steamrolled. He scans the audience, then plays to them. "Folks, we love Clint, right?" he says, arms raised, scattered claps. Uncertain energy. The room's fractured. Clint leans back, arms crossed, expression unreadable. He's not here for applause. He's here to make a point. Stage left, the manager gives Jimmy the signal. "Wrap it." But Jimmy's not ready to fold. He grabs a cue card, tries again. "So let's talk about the cast. Amazing group you worked with." "You're not listening." Clint cuts him off, voice calm but cutting. The room hushes. "This isn't about the movie anymore. It's about you thinking you can turn me into a prop for your show." Gasps. Someone shouts, "Tell him, Clint!" Others boo. The crowds split down the middle. Jimmy's grin is gone now. His face tightens, red rising in his cheeks. He's been cornered on live TV and he knows it. He tries to laugh it off. "Come on, man. It's just TV. We're here to have a good time." Clint shakes his head slowly. "Not me. I came to talk about something that matters. You turned it into a circus." The line hits like a gut punch. The crowd erupts, half cheering, half jeering. The noise swallows the stage. In the wings, Maggie watches, grimly satisfied. She warned them. She's seen Clint do this before. Finally, the director calls it. Commercial. Monitors flash to ads. The band stops. House lights dim slightly. But Clint doesn't move. He sits there, stone still, carved out of defiance. Jimmy leans over to the floor producer, whispering sharp, frustrated words. The audience won't settle. Some chant Clint's name. Others argue. Security edges closer. Two burly guys in black, eyes locked on Clint. They hesitate. They know who they're dealing with. Maggie steps forward, grabs the stage manager's arm. "Don't even think about touching him," she says, low and deadly. He backs off. Behind the scenes, the producers are in chaos, shouting over each other, scrambling to salvage the rest of the show. Jimmy paces by the desk, running a hand through his hair, muttering. He knows he's losing. He just doesn't know how to stop the bleeding. Clint, calm, sipping water, watching the crowd like he's reading a battlefield. Fans in the front row lean forward, calling out to him. "You're the man, Clint." A slight nod. That's all. The break's almost over. The director makes the call. Let Clint stay. But Jimmy has to regain control. The red light flares. Cameras roll. The band strikes up again, trying to recapture the mood. Jimmy slides back into his chair, his face now a polished mask of control. But Clint's already braced. Ready. The studio lights snap to full brightness. The last note fades. Round 2 begins. Clint hasn't moved. His posture unbroken, gaze set somewhere past Jimmy, as if the host no longer matters. The crowd leans in. The tension is electric. Backstage, no one breathes. Maggie watches from the wings, arms crossed. Her expression's a tight coil of pride and dread. She knows Clint's winning. But she also knows what it's costing. The control room's a mess. Producers on edge, barking into headsets. The director's voice crackles over the comms. Keep it tight, Jimmy. Don't let him take over. Jimmy leans forward, claps once, loud and sharp, trying to retake the wheel. We're back with the one and only Clint Eastwood, he says, voice lighter, smile forced. He dives into a question about cinematography, desperate to steer the moment back to safer ground. The craft, the visuals, the film. Something Clint can talk about without turning it into a war zone. Clint plays along, for a beat, his voice steady, almost gentle, as he talks about the film's stark landscapes, how the land itself becomes a character. Then, without warning, he pivots. You know what's wrong with places like this? He gestures around the set, the lights, the audience, the slick machine. You think it's all about flash, about making noise. You forget what's real. A murmur ripples through the studio. Some clap. Others shift uncomfortably. Jimmy's jaw tightens. His eyes flick just briefly toward the crew. But he stays cool, nods like he gets it. Fair enough, he says, leaning back, tone easy. But this is entertainment, right? People want a show. He throws a hand toward the audience, fishing for cheers. He gets a mixed bag. Applause, some boos. Clint doesn't flinch, doesn't blink. They want honesty, he says, voice cutting through the noise. Not some polished lie you feed them to keep 'em clapping. The line hits like a slap. The crowd erupts. A roar from one side, jeers from the other. Jimmy's smile falters. His fingers grip the desk. He's losing the room, and he knows it. The floor producer gives the pivot signal, but Jimmy's pride is in the chair now. He ignores it. He leans in, sharper. Look, Clint, you're a legend. No one's disputing that. But you're on my stage. We've got a show to do. A challenge. Clear. Unflinching. The audience feels the shift. The tension spikes. Clint's eyes narrow. Just a sliver. But the whole air changes. Your stage? His voice drops. Deliberate. Cold. I'm here because I chose to be. Not to dance for you. That blows the doors open. Some fans stand, chanting Clint's name. Others shout for Jimmy to hold his ground. Maggie shakes her head backstage, muttering under her breath. Here we go. Security creeps closer, hands twitching, not quite moving. Not yet. Jimmy's had enough. He breaks the cardinal rule. He stands, points straight at Clint. You want to talk respect? How about respecting the people who invited you here? His voice rings out, the nice guy mask torn off. The studio's on its feet, a riot of sound, clapping and yelling crashing in waves. Clint rises, slow, deliberate, and suddenly the set feels too small. His presence swallows the space. He doesn't raise his voice. Respect's earned, he says, stepping closer to Jimmy. Not bought with lights and applause. The crowd loses it. The director screams in the booth, "Cut! Cut now!" But the cameras keep rolling. They're still live, beaming this standoff into living rooms across America. Jimmy Kimmel Live has become Clint Eastwood's battleground. The cheers and boos crash together like surf in a storm. The two men stand face to face, inches apart. Clint's final line, "Respect's earned, not bought," hangs in the air, heavy as iron. Jimmy's face is flushed, fists clenched, stuck between fury and fear. He knows he's lost control. Backstage, Maggie watches it all, silent, unmoving. Knowing this will be the clip that plays forever, Maggie's eyes are locked on Clint. Her expression is fierce, ready to step in if things go south. At the stage's edge, two security guards exchange uneasy glances. How do you remove a living legend? Jimmy breaks the silence first. He steps back, forcing a laugh that comes out more like a cough. "All right, Clint, you've made your point." His voice is tight, trying to claw back control. He turns to the crowd, gesturing wide. "Let's give it up for Clint Eastwood, folks." There's some applause, scattered, uncertain, but it's drowned by shouts, whistles, and confusion. The room is too charged to settle. Clint doesn't acknowledge the crowd. He's still staring at Jimmy, sizing him up like the moment hasn't passed, like it might still tip. The floor producer, drenched in sweat, signals to security. "Get him off. Now," he mouths. The guards hesitate. One steps forward cautiously, palm raised. "Sir." "Let's take a walk," he says, voice careful, deferential. Clint turns his gaze to the man, and for a second everything freezes. The crowd holds. Its breath. "Don't." Clint's voice is low. Not a threat, but a command. The guard halts mid-step, hands slightly raised. He backs off. Maggie bursts through the wings. Her voice cuts through the noise like a blade. "He's leaving when he's ready." She glares at the producer like daring him to try her. But Clint raises a hand. It silences even her. He scans the room, then settles his eyes on Jimmy. "I said what I came to say." His voice is calm. "Final." Then he turns and walks. No flourish, no drama. Just a slow, deliberate exit. The crowd erupts behind him. Half cheers, half stunned murmurs. Jimmy is left standing alone. The band scrambles to fill the silence with upbeat noise. Anything to patch the moment. Jimmy forces a smile, waving awkwardly. "Well, that was something, huh?" His voice cracks, the joke landing unevenly. There's laughter, but it's hollow. The room feels broken. Like the set itself is unsure what show it's still in. Backstage, chaos. Producers yelling over each other. The director barking into a headset, already talking damage control. Maggie follows Clint down the hallway, too. The green room. He grabs his coat, cool as ever. "Told them not to push you," she mutters. Clint just nods. His eyes are distant now, already somewhere else. Outside, the internet is on fire. Clips spreading like a blaze. Headlines screaming. Fans and critics taking sides. Some call him a hero. Others say he went too far. Back on set, the show limps toward the finish. Jimmy stumbles through the next segment, charm flickering like a dying light bulb. But it doesn't matter. The story isn't the guests. It's Clint. Clint and the moment he refused to play the game. That's what people will remember. Not the jokes, not the applause. Just a line drawn in the sand on live television. As Clint steps out into the night, the studio behind him buzzing. With fallout, one thing is clear. He didn't just walk away. He made history. And that's the story, folks. If you love this breakdown, hit subscribe. We're building a community that lives for the raw, the real, the unforgettable. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from? LA, Tokyo, somewhere off the grid. Was Clint right to stand his ground? Or did he take it too far? Smash that like button. Share it with someone who needs to see this. And as always, stay curious, stay real. I'll see you in the next one.